If you're somebody that tends to overthink, I need you to come to the front. We have to have a conversation.
5'9" brown eyes, shimmy, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, shimmy, shimmy.
This has been a side of me that I've tried years. I've tried countless things to remove from myself. The fact that I overthink so much, the fact that I worry about external factors that cannot be controlled. Now, this is an overthinking that has nothing to do with worrying about other people's emotion, because that is something that it simply needs to die. Worrying about somebody else's opinion, worrying about somebody else's emotion, it has nothing to do with you. That is none of your responsibility. And this has been something that's been clicking in my mind lately. I used to worry so much about what the next person thought about me, about what this family member said, about what happened, what's the outcome, what's that person gonna say, what's that person gonna do, until it just dawned on me. And don't get me wrong, I've heard this advice so many times, I can't even count. You can give somebody advice over and over and over. It has to click in their head. It has to make sense to them. And for me, this is finally clicking. This is finally making sense. I cannot worry about somebody else's life. I cannot worry about somebody else's opinion about me. I cannot worry about somebody else's emotion or whatever caused them to have that emotion. This was such a heavy load that I carried with me everywhere, and it is the most draining thing you can ever do to yourself. You don't realize it, but it is actually very, very draining to carry on everybody else's emotional load. That is not the type of overthinking that I'm talking about. The type of overthink that I'm talking about has to do more with the decisions that you make in life. How do we manage overthinking when it comes to our own careers, when it comes to our own decisions, when it comes to our own lives? How do we manage it? This is not something that I want you to look at it as a bad thing. I want you to look at it as something to accept. This brings me to my point that whenever you meet somebody that is so confident, these are people that are so self-assured in themselves. They know who they are. They know what they stand for. They know what they can't tolerate. They know their limits. They know what they like. They know their dislikes. These are people that are so self-assured that whenever they make a decision, they believe that that is the right decision, no matter the outcome. If the outcome is bad, you get to learn from it. If the outcome is good, that is amazing. I get to move on. But you don't dwell on the decision. And if the outcome is, especially when the outcome is bad, you don't dwell on that decision. You don't dwell on that shame, on that mistake, on that guilt. You move on. You learn from it. And that is what an overthinker does. You dwell. You stay in that little room that you've built for yourself. And we need to be able to live and manage that. And these are things that I've done to manage that overthinking, to manage the fact that I can sit on hours and hours and hours wondering, what about this? What about that? What about that? Right? These are things that I've implemented personally that has taken me from a point of I'm spending 3 hours on a decision to I'm spending maybe 30 minutes to maybe 10 minutes on a decision and move on to the next. And there are certain things that are completely going away, which I'm very, very proud of myself about. So I wanted to share those with you. The first thing I would say is journaling. I know we hear this all the time. For me, this has become a daily habit. Not daily, I'm not gonna lie. There's days that I don't journal, but there are days that is very, very needed for me to journal, that I do journal, that it helps me a lot when it comes to my overthinking and kind of dwelling on the same idea or on the same thought. Journaling for me has saved me a lot of time. It has saved me a lot of energy, because this is just where I dump everything. I dump my worries, I dumped my goals, I dump my thoughts, I dump everything. Things that I did yesterday, things that I did today, things that happened that didn't make me feel great. I just journal and dump everything. If you were ever to read one of my journals, it will probably not make sense, because the way I journal is so sporadic. It is so like all over the place, but that is a system that just works for me. I don't need journaling prompts. I feel like when I have like a journal prompt that I'm going through and like trying to answer, that is when I get the least effective results from my journaling than if I'm just like pouring everything out, if I'm just like writing everything down, as if I'm talking to somebody, as if it's like a therapy session. I'm just dumping everything out, right? It is so different from me trying to have like the perfect journal. It looks so nice, like I have all of my notes color coded and written nicely. No, my journals do not make sense to other people, but they make sense to me, and I'm able to go back on those and read it, and I can see, wow, this day I was very frustrated, or this day I was really, really overthinking, because maybe I would be writing the same thing in circle, going back over and over and over it until you can kind of read through it and get to a point where it was like, wow, I was able to find a solution. I was able to find an answer to this. So I would highly recommend for you, if you have not started, or if you journal but you don't do it the right way, start journaling. Start journaling. Stop looking at videos on how to journal. Just start journaling. Just start writing. Write your thoughts in the most messiest way possible, and maybe later on you can go back and catalog your ideas a little bit better, or write them down a little bit nicer, or try to kind of organize your idea in a more like cleaner way. But just start journaling. And there's so many videos out there that teaches you how to journal, that says you should do the 3-2-1 rule or the 10-40 rule or whatever it is. There's so much information out there that sometimes that can also lead to you overthinking and dwelling on the same thing. I need you to pick up a notepad and a pen and just start journaling. The next thing I would say is the fact that I am a very creative person. I enjoy being creative. I enjoy taking whatever exists in my mind and actually putting it into action, and actually putting it into a tangible product. And this is something that also does tend to lead to overthinking. If you're more of a creative person, you live in your head quite often to try to figure out, how do I make this thing work? What about this idea that makes sense that I can actually explain to other people? Or what about this idea, can I break it down? Or what about this idea doesn't make sense? I carry notepads, a pen and paper everywhere, in my car, in my bedroom, you name it, in my purse. I carry it everywhere because I know the power of writing. I have recognized that writing things down for me, it has been a game changer. And this can go into the same thing as journaling, but for me, it is more about writing down your ideas. Like, write the process down, write whatever thought came after you had that idea, write whatever it is that you're thinking will make that idea work. You need to have catalogs of your idea. Sometimes an idea can come, it is such a great idea, you have it, and then you wake up the next morning and it is gone. I cannot remember the amount of times I would be working on a project and I am sleeping and I can, like, in my dream, I am dreaming that I'm like actually like walking through the home or designing the space, and then I would wake up and I'm like, wow, that idea was so great. And because I didn't write it right there and then, it is gone. It's completely gone. So you need to have a writing utensil. And I'm not talking about your phone, because I believe your notes are so impersonal to me. I need to see the messiness of me writing and scratching my ideas away, of me writing and fixing my mistakes, or of me writing and going back and having arrows and circles and like emphasizing certain things. That is why I love a good old notepad and pen, because they're so personal to you. They're so personal to your touch, to your feel. You're able to see, what was I writing this with? What emotion was I writing this with? Was I writing this with anger? Was I writing this with so much passion? If money was never like a factor, I would love to study language and like how people write when they're under like specific emotions, or the way that people write. Like, this is an entire course I think like people in the FBI take, is like understanding how people, they're writing and like whatever emotions they were, like decoding that. It's just so fascinating to me, that aspect. But I'm such a big advocate of just a pen and paper. Write your ideas down. That cuts down on overthinking. That cuts down on the dwelling on, is this idea good? Is this idea even worth it? Your thoughts are fleeting. They go away. They change every second. As I'm talking to you, there's a lot of thoughts coming through my mind. But because I have a script, because I have written this video down, it allowed me to stay on topic. It allowed me to get my thoughts across. It allowed me to get the creative aspect of this video across to you so that it makes sense to you. The next thing I will say is that you need to start talking to yourself. I know this sounds crazy, cuckoo, whatever, but you need to start talking to yourself. I quite literally talk to myself everywhere. I talk to myself in the car. I talk to myself at home, having breakfast, drinking my tea, like I talk to myself. And especially if it is about a topic that maybe I have been dwelling on it for way too long and I just don't feel like writing, right? I just don't feel like writing. I don't feel like sitting down and writing it down. I will talk to myself just to have all of that come out, just to express it. And I would say the most craziest thing, make sure nobody's listening to you, make sure you're somewhere private, but I would say whatever it is that I'm thinking in my mind, just so it gets out. And sometimes I would even envision maybe I'm in front of an audience, or maybe I'm in front of a friend. I know you're gonna think, well, that's cuckoo banana, but it has helped me so much. Just release. And especially if you're somebody that lives alone, oh my goodness. I remember like in periods of my life where I've had to live alone, like you don't have anybody around you, or even if you have people around you, you can't really trust them to talk about your deepest desires or your deepest goals or things you envision for yourself, right? And so it just sits in your mind and you're kind of constantly thinking about it. I need you to start talking to yourself, because sometimes saying it out loud, like pretending somebody's there listening to you, you can also say that God is sitting in front of you listening to you. You can just say your ideas out loud. It doesn't have to be in that format of like I am praying and the Lord Jesus. No, it can literally just be a simple conversation or just your thoughts coming out loud. I have done this way too much, and the best place for me has been my car, because if I stop next to somebody on the at the red light, that person just thinks that I'm on the phone, I'm talking to a friend or whatever, right? Who's gonna come check you? I'm in my car talking to myself. Who's gonna come check me? You need to start talking to yourself. It has helped me so much. It has helped me release a lot of the overthinking that happens maybe throughout my day and certain ideas. This is kind of the last thing that I want to touch on, and this is get off your phone. Get off your phone. I don't have TikTok, Instagram, Facebook on my phone. If you ever see those apps on my phone, you know that I've recently downloaded them. I need them for a specific reason, and they're going to get deleted. I get so overstimulated with the constant videos as they're coming to you. Like what that leads is, it leads to overthinking. You could be scrolling and you see somebody else's life, somebody else's ideal life, right? You could see somebody else's highlight reel of the day, and now you're overthinking. You're like, what about my life? What am I doing that's not working? You start questioning, you start overthinking, you start wondering, and before you know it, you're spiraling into a depressive episode, and you're questioning, you're like, why am I so depressed? Why am I overthinking? Why this? Why that? You need to put the phone away. I have days that I just leave the phone in the bedroom and I'll go about my business. And I know that there's people calling me, there's people sending me messages and stuff like that, but I need those days. I need days that I just spend time alone. I need days where I just don't look at my phone. I need days that I'm not accidentally like caught on like scrolling on my phone, because that's very easy. That's what these apps are designed for. It is designed for you to keep scrolling for hours and hours and hours on end without you even noticing time passing. I remember way before I got very strict with my phone, I would spend 3-4 hours just scrolling on the phone. Before you know it, the day is over and you have not accomplished anything. I have become very strict with my phone, because this is a pattern that I noticed happen for me so frequently. Whenever I used my phone, whenever I started scrolling, I would get overstimulated. I would overthink on my decisions, on my life, on what I'm doing or where I'm going, comparing myself to other people. And that is just like an entire cycle that keeps going. And I could get in that mode for days and days and days, because you're constantly looking at other people's lives. You're constantly seeing people's happiest moments, not moments of struggle, not moments of turmoil, not moments of questioning, not moments of hardship. You're seeing people's happiest moments that is being shoved in your face so constantly. And if you're in a season of pruning, if you're in a season of development, if you're in a season of growth, of progress, you start to question what is it that I'm working on? What is it that I'm doing right now? You start questioning and try to replicate what you're seeing next door. So you need to have days where you just put the phone down. And I know it's so hard, like you can't do it. You need to have your phone. phone, blah, 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 whatever. Yes, you just need to have days you put the phone down. You can say Sunday is the day I spend by myself, is the day I spend with my family. This is something that I have personally done time and time again. It is putting my phone away, especially if I'm journaling, especially if I need to just spend time with my thoughts, understand what it is that I'm thinking about. Where is this thought coming from? What is my next step? What is the decision that I need to make in this moment? I put my phone away. So yes, it really is that damn phone. You need to put the phone down. Stop letting other people's lives dictate your thought. This leads me to my next point, which is looking for other people's opinion or looking for other people's permission. This, I can say I'm very, very guilty of, and it is something that bit me in my arse so hard that I have a tingy bit of regret about it. When I was planning my wedding, and this is something that looking back on, I'm like, girl, you should have never done that. You just should not never have done that. It came to the point where every little thing I would look on to other people to give me their agreement or to say, yes, that decision was okay. And that led to so much overthinking in that aspect of my life. I'm not gonna dwell on that. It happened. It is what it is. My wedding was so beautiful. I absolutely loved, married to the love of my life. But there's certain aspects of it where I was like, asking for other people's opinion is a form of you asking for other people's permission. There's a form of you asking for other people, what should I do with my life? What should I do in my next steps? How does my life look like? What do you think? I need you to approve of me. I need you to give me validation. I need you to give me assurance. And that is something that killed me slowly for years and years and years. And it is something that I'm reversing back. Keep your mouth shut. That could be the internet, taking your decisions on the internet. What should I do in my relationship? What should I do in my home? What should I do about this? What should I do about that? Keep your decisions to yourself. This could be a family member. This could be a friend. This could be a boyfriend or whatever it is. Reduce the level of opinion that you have when it pertains to certain decisions in your life. Or the more opinions you have, the more noise you have going on in your mind, the more voices you have going on in your mind, the more chaos there is, and you tend to not make a decision based on clarity. You tend to make a decision based on fear and based on other people's limitation of what they think you can accomplish. People that are confident and people that are so self-assured in themselves, those are the people that they do the thing. You find out later. They didn't consult you. You just find out later. Oh wow, they traveled to this place. Oh, that's so great. Oh wow, they bought that car. Oh wow, they did that thing. Oh wow, they built that home. Those are people that just move when it feels right to them. They have that instinct in them, and they've cultivated that over the years to listen to their own voice, to understand what it is that they're thinking about, what it is that they're feeling, what is their next step, where is their intuition guiding them to. That is something that you need to cultivate. Overthinking is not a bad thing. Again, people that are so self-assured, people that are so confident in themselves, they understand every aspect of what makes them who they are, and they accept it. What can be changed gets changed. What cannot be changed gets either managed or accepted. So it is up to you to say, do I want to accept the fact that I'm an overthinker? Do I want to start managing that aspect of myself? Or do I want to keep going on this wheel of like, I need to stop overthinking, I need to stop overthinking. And it's kind of like you've put yourself in a prison. I've loved filming today's video. I hope you also enjoyed it. These are just little things that I've personally implemented in my life. Overthinking for me, it is an aspect of myself that I've come to accept that it will not change or completely go away, but it is something that I can absolutely manage. This is not when it comes to overthinking about what other people think of you. That needs to go away fully. That just needs to stop. It needs to go away. But the aspect of which you guide your life in, decisions you're making, the things that pertain to your career, personal life, things like that, you can set tools, you can set systems for yourself that allow you to make the right decision, that allow you to reduce the time on which you dwell on things, you dwell on experiences, you dwell on your failures. So if anything spoke to you in this video, please take time to comment below what it is that you have been doing and what it is that you are thinking about implementing in your life now. If you're new here, hi, my name is Bunner. It means happiness in French, a true embodiment of who I am. I have stopped trying to define who I am through what I do or my job title. And my biggest goal this year, it is to experience as much as I want to experience, live to the fullest, and live a life of intention and a life of purpose. So if you're new here, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, stay around. There are so many juicy topics that we are going to be talking about.